Matahachi is one of the most hated characters in Vagabond, and I think people are missing the point entirely. Not about what he does. His actions are hard to defend, but about what he represents. Because the reason he makes people so uncomfortable isn't that he's a villain. It's that he's familiar. He is the part of us we don't want to admit exists. The part that takes the easy way out, that abandons responsibility when things get real, that looks at someone who made it and quietly says, "I could have been that. I just chose not to." You don't hate Matahachi because he's weak. You hate him because somewhere in his choices, you recognize yourself. Here's what makes this story so uncomfortable. Musashi and Matahachi didn't start in different worlds. They weren't born into different circumstances, different families, different levels of talent or opportunity. They started in the same village, the same moment, the same road. Everything that separates them was built one choice at a time. And that matters, because it removes the comfortable excuse. You can't look at Musashi's journey and say he was destined for greatness, while Matahachi was destined to fail. There was no destiny at work in the beginning. There were just two young men at the same fork in the road, making different decisions about what to do when life got hard. Matahachi actually had advantages Musashi didn't. Status in the village, a woman who loved him, a social position that gave him a head start. And he watched Musashi, someone who started below him, surpass him completely. Not through luck, not through favor, through pure, relentless, costly choice. That's the kind of thing that produces something very specific and very painful. Envy. The fork in the road didn't happen on a battlefield. It happened in a quiet room, when a woman mistakes Matahachi for Musashi, looks at him with admiration he had never earned. He makes a choice so small it barely feels like a choice at all. He doesn't correct her, not because he planned to deceive her, not because he had some calculated agenda, but because being seen as Musashi felt better than being seen as Matahachi. Because in that moment, the warmth of borrowed identity was worth more than the discomfort of his own truth. That is the first lie, and everything grows from it. Because a lie doesn't stay small, it needs protection, it needs other lies to survive. And slowly, without any single dramatic decision, Matahachi becomes someone else entirely. That room, that quiet moment, is where everything split. Here's what makes Matahachi tragic. He knows, not always, but in moments, he sees himself clearly. The gap between who he is and who Musashi became becomes impossible to ignore. The truth is right there, without decoration, and instead of acting, he reaches for another story. I could be like him if I wanted to. I chose this life. If things were different, that would be me. This is the cruelest kind of self-deception, because it requires awareness. He doesn't lie because he doesn't see the truth. He lies because the truth is unbearable, and the lie is easier to live with. He is aware enough to suffer, but not enough to change. And that cycle, see the truth, feel the pain, choose the lie, repeats again and again. So, what separates Musashi and Matahachi? Not talent, not circumstance, not intelligence. The difference is simple: the willingness to stay in the fire long enough to be changed by it. When things got hard, Musashi walked deeper in. When the questions became unbearable, he stayed with them. When the road demanded more than he thought he had, he paid it anyway. Matahachi made the opposite choice every single time. And here's the uncomfortable truth. That choice is available to everyone. It isn't reserved for the gifted or the destined. It happens in quiet moments, in small decisions, in the space between seeing the truth and deciding what to do with it. Matahachi is not a special kind of failure. He's an ordinary one. The ones who hate Matahachi the most usually understand him the clearest, because he doesn't represent something distant. He represents the version of ourselves that took the easier road, letting a small lie breathe, saying I could if I wanted to, just long enough to believe it. Musashi and Matahachi are not opposites. They're the same person, standing at the same fork, making different choices. One chose the fire, one chose the exit, and the distance between those choices becomes everything. The fork is never dramatic. It's quiet, a small moment, a simple decision. And the question is simple. When that moment comes, which one will you be?